What's up? How do you guys monitor student learning? How do you guys show parents at conference time what students have achieved? Do students in your class track their own learning progression? I read an excellent article just this week about student portfolios. I'll drop it in the show notes below so you can take a look at the article and see everything that he has to say. But my favorite thing about the article is that it totally opened my eyes to new things that I didn't know about digital portfolios. And it also confirmed some things that I already believed about student portfolios. And I am the biggest fan of digital portfolios. So to find an article that had all this new stuff was really exciting for me. And I'm hoping by the end of this video that you are also excited about student portfolios as well. Today I'm drinking Caribou Coffee's Reindeer Blend. Whoa, this is bold. With some carbon and spice, it is slightly herbal and slightly acidic. This coffee is the bomb. This week, I am focusing my craft on student portfolios, the importance of student portfolios, the realm of the possibilities with student portfolios, what they are not, how you can do it digitally, how you can do it with paper and pencil, and really the why. I hope that we get to the why. I hope that we have a deep understanding of why student portfolios are valuable for your classroom and mine. Later on in this video series, I'm going to go into specific apps that you can use for digital portfolios and what those might actually look like. But for today's purposes, what I'm hoping to accomplish throughout this week is just a revamp in my classroom around digital portfolios that I'm using, the apps that I already have in place for my classroom, and kind of the possibilities of things that I can do in my classroom or you can do in your classroom with digital portfolios. So let's get started. In my class, I'm all about learning progress. So my student portfolios are really focused on the process of learning rather than the finished product. And that is something that's come over time. I'm starting to improve in this area. I used to struggle with having like finished products. That was so exciting to me. And so I was always looking for students to create something that I could put on the wall and showcase. But I've learned through various articles and mentors and videos that's really not what's best. What I would like to focus on, and I'm working on this now. If you look around my room, it's starting to empty a little bit so I can start making space for this, is showcasing student process. Showcasing the learning process, accenting the failure of the learning process, because the failure of the learning process is so important. It's valuable for the students to learn through the failure, and that should be documented. So that's where the portfolios come in. In my class, my students set a goal every single day. That's their warm-up. And then as they learn things and as they grow throughout their throughout the day, throughout their progress, then they're taking photos of the learning that they're doing, or they're taking videos of the learning that they're doing, or they're documenting and writing down the learning that they're doing. And I have various tasks and things that they'll add to their portfolio. For example, taking notes when we conference together and talk about their learning process and their learning progress. And then I like to have them do their exit tickets. And almost every single day, their exit ticket is truly just a documentation. What did you learn today? Take a photo of it, upload something that shows the process of the learning that took place today during class. And what that frees me up to do is to kind of be moving around and working with students as they're collaborating toward their goals. And that's where I like to be. And then for them, it's this constant routine structure. Regardless of how crazy the class might get or how out of our chairs we might be, at the start of class, every single day, there is a warm-up routine that is going on in their warm-up with goal setting. And then there is an exit ticket routine at the end of class every single day with what they're learning and tracking that progress. So that's just a part of what I do with learning portfolios, but there's so much more. So let's dive into all of the different ways in which portfolios can be done. The feels like temperature is -9 this morning. It is bleak. Check it out. Look out there. Look out there. Look. It's cold, okay? Oh, by the way, check it out. Art teacher, full range of windows, huge patio section. Come on. How come the art teacher has the best classroom? Well, she deserves it. How can you use portfolios in your classroom? That's kind of what we're getting at this morning, and I'm just gonna go over some general things. There are a wealth of ideas out there, a range of options, but let's just go over some basics, right? Check-ins, warm-ups, exit tickets, formative assessments, right? Any type of formative assessment is going to work perfectly in a portfolio, because not only do you have access to their assessments to figure out where they're at and what they're learning, but they also have access to it so they can see the learning progression as well. Speaking of learning progression, that's how I use them in my classroom. You can use them for goal setting and for progress tracking. And that's an excellent way. That's my personal favorite. You can also use them to show parents what students have accomplished. You could go a little more formal with them and kind of treat them like industry standard portfolios that show the finished product of what they've completed. So like an art portfolio would show an artist's greatest art achievements, right? But those are just a few options. And really what it's gonna come down to is actually what program or process you're using for the portfolios, because that's going to determine what you're actually capable of doing with those portfolios. So if you're using Google Slides, Keynote, if you're using the Notes app, if you're using paper and pencil, that's gonna determine what types of things you want to try to use your portfolios to do, and what types of things will actually be efficient, and what types of things will actually be worth your time and the students' time and the very valuable time that we have in the classroom during the day. All right, so what types of programs are you gonna use for your portfolios? Or might you use, or might you change to, or might you already use? You guys are already doing this kind of stuff out there. I'm just joining the party. I am going to go over a handful of options today, and when I'm talking about these, I want you to know I do plan on making other videos to talk about some of these, especially my favorite apps and options for student portfolios. But let's hop into the mix. Slides is probably my overall favorite. I'm actually not currently using Google Slides for digital portfolios. However, I think my favorite part about Slides is it's collaborative easily. So you can share with your teacher, and you can share with other students so they can work collaboratively. It's very, very user-friendly in that sense. Slides is also great because it makes it really organized. You pick a theme, you then just create a new slide every single day, title it day 1, title it day 2, title it with the date, whatever you want, and then anything can go on that slide that they do during that day, and then they move on the next day and start a new one. I really like the organization of a Google Slide presentation. Secondly, I like to use Notes, the Notes app. This is really specific for students that are using either MacBooks or iPads. My school is one-to-one with iPads in the middle school, so that kind of works best for me. But the Notes app is really, really simple. It's very user-friendly. There's not a lot of front loading that has to be done in order for it to work. It's a nice setup. I really like that. Notes also has the added benefit that you can use photos, videos, all that good stuff. However, sharing notes isn't ideal. While on Google Slides, you might run into some problems we'll talk about in the upcoming videos with how you add videos to your portfolio. Notes is super easy to add videos, but it does take away your ability to share it as a PDF because PDFs don't have videos enabled. So how you share your portfolio is a little more complicated. In addition to that, if students are not allowed to have Apple IDs, which in our middle school, they're not allowed to have Apple IDs, not until they're in high school. So if they can't have Apple IDs, then they cannot collaborate with you with the note, which means you won't have digital access to that note. Keynote is a great app. It does have that same problem as the Notes app, that you cannot collaborate with your teacher without having an Apple ID. However, Keynote is also very user-friendly with videos, photos, adding objects, animating objects, which you probably don't need to do in your portfolio, but who knows. And it also has the Google Slide benefit of having one slide per day, and it makes it nice and organized, which I also really like about Keynote. Seesaw is an app that is incredible. My favorite thing about Seesaw is it feels like a social media app, and you're able to aggregate all of the student work into one place, but it's attached and tagged to students. So it's really excellent when it comes to being able to select one student, see all their work, or select the whole class and be able to see what everyone's doing. There's a feed, there's student name selections. It's a very, very cool program. We don't have that program on our students' iPads, so I don't use it a whole lot, because when I do use it, it has to go through my devices. So sometimes I find it valuable enough that I'll use my phone, my iPad, or some extra iPads that we have just to have students use them for documentation. But for the most part, student portfolios are most efficient when all of the students can be working on their portfolio at the same time. So that doesn't work for my classroom. Finally, we have paper and pencil. I really like paper and pencil, especially when it comes to things like engineering notebooks. All of our competitive robotics students have to do engineering notebooks, and they have to be paper and pencil. They have to be done in composition books and real neat. And the nice thing about that is you kind of get some of the book-like features that you don't get on some of the apps. Like you have a table of contents, you can have a works cited, you can have page numbers, things that you just don't think about when you're using any of these digital apps, because those aren't important to you. But when you pick up a composition book and you have pages and pages of student work, it matters to have page numbers. It matters to have some kind of directory of where everything is, a glossary of important engineering vocabulary in our case. So I do like paper and pencil. I don't want to throw it out as if it's not as important as these digital ones. And if you don't have one-to-one technology, if you don't have Chromebooks or iPads or something, if you don't have a computer lab you can go to, then notebooks are definitely the way to go, because it's very formal and you can get in some of those extra things that students should also be learning about. We don't want to die with the growth of technology. So there you have it. My hope at this point in the video is that if you're doing student portfolios, you feel like $1,000,000 and you're reinvigorated, just like I was reading that article a week ago that made me so pumped that I'm doing student portfolios. If you're not doing student portfolios, I hope that this video has given you just enough information of where to start and maybe a little bit of desire to give it a try. If you are giving it a try, join the conversation on Twitter. There are so many different teacher hashtags. Go join the conversation and let them know what you're doing in your classroom so that we can all be sharing our information and growing together. And in the words of every principal over the intercom every morning, make it a great learning day.